Okay, so with no further ado, let's begin. By the end of this session, you'll be able to benchmark your paid media performance against competitors, identify brand leakage and competitive threats early, and turn paid media insights into smarter decisions. Our speakers for today, hello everyone, my name is Liat Sagib. I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager for Ad Intelligence. I will be facilitating this session. Soon we'll be hearing a great demo from Mate, our Senior Product Manager of Ad Intelligence, and Delaney, Principal Customer Success Manager, who manages customers at Similarweb for several years, agencies, brands, and much more in EMEA and other regions as well. Before we dive into the demo, let's zoom out and talk a bit about the crisis of the ad industry. So as we see in the industry, organic traffic declines, and a lot of brands are deciding to invest more and more in their paid efforts. But they have a lot of challenges because they don't have one unified platform to actually showcase all the different channels that they're investing in. A lot of these brands have blind spots. We know that 41% of global ad spend goes to paid search, but most of the ad intelligence tools today actually ignore paid search and only show display, social, CTV, and other channels. That causes for paid managers, paid marketing managers to actually manage their channels in silo. And we see that 35% of their ROI is lost because they try to optimize search, display, social, and all these channels, but they don't have one unified view showing everything. And eventually, this leads to wasted spend. We know that 25% of budgets are wasted because they can't see what competitors are doing. They don't have this visibility. And that fragmentation is very, very hard. And we believe that from fragmentation, we can go into action with the right intelligence tool in place. When you have all the channels, display, search, social in one place, a unified view of publishers, of ad spend, impressions, visits, and other important metrics, you can really protect your brand, have strategic action, and take clear action from a unified view. This session will highlight Ad Intelligence, our newest suite to the Web Intelligence solution. And we wanted to share with you 4 top use cases where teams actually use Ad Intelligence. The first one is to understand the ad landscape. When you see all these channels in one view, you can really understand what your competitors are doing, where they're doing it, where they're spending, and the outcomes of it. They also use it to benchmark performance. So with our compare capabilities, brands are able to put themselves alongside their competitors and see what's the ad spend, where is it driving traffic, what are the different formats that we have, and the placements, who are the different advertisers and publishers that they're using, and really understand better how am I doing compared to my competition. Of course, the third use case that we see a lot is to spot growth opportunities. Where can I take my business in terms of publishers? For publishers, where are advertisers putting their ads right now? So we have both sides of this ecosystem, and both sides can really spot the opportunities. And of course, the fourth one is our brand protection capabilities that we can help you understand, and we'll be showing this in a bit, how to better protect your brand name, and your demand traffic. So without further ado, I want to open with a poll question for everybody here and ask you, what's the biggest challenge in your paid media strategy today? Limited visibility into competitor spend, competitors bidding on our brand and stealing demand, fragmented data across channel makes it hard to scale and see what works, or unclear ROI and wasted spend make budgets hard to defend. Let's give it a moment. I think we can now close the pool and let's see your answers. So we really see a great split here, that these challenges are real across all the organizations. And it's amazing to see that it's almost equal split between all four. So without further ado, let's turn it to our demo and see ad intelligence in action. Delaney, the stage is yours.
Alrighty, let me just share my screen here and we'll get going. So for the purposes of showing you how this all works in action today, we are going to pretend that we are working with a little brand that some of you who are based in the UK might actually recognize. The brand is Monzo. So for those of you who are uninitiated with Monzo, Monzo is one of the UK's leading digital first banks. So they are really known for these very distinctive pink cards, and maybe more importantly, they have a very product-led, customer-obsessed approach. They launched nearly a decade ago, or I think it was 2015. And since then, they have grown really rapidly by reimagining banking around a mobile-first experience. So this is definitely not just a niche. If we jump into Similarweb's market analysis view, what we can see is that looking at the last 6 months alone, Monzo was winning nearly 8% of all traffic share in the market. And if we look at how things are changing over time, we see that in that time period, they actually grew nearly 3 percentage points, much better than any of these other kind of more traditional banks. However, Monzo isn't the only player in this space. In the same graph, if I add in Revolut, who are another very app-focused, experience-forward brand, we can see that they are coming up fast behind, both in terms of their traffic share and also in terms of the unique visitors that they're attracting. Revolut is also another really interesting case. They were founded in the UK around about the same time as Monzo. But despite that, their banking license is still in what they call a mobilization phase. And basically, it means that there's still some restrictions on the types of services that they can offer in their home market. But if you look globally, they have massive scale. They've got tens of millions of customers across Europe and beyond. And that really matters for Monzo because it means that Revolut isn't just like a small upstart. They have the funds to invest really aggressively in growth, even while they're still ramping up in the UK. And if we scroll down here, I'll flip off year-over-year mode just for a second. What we're looking at here is our cost efficiency quadrant analysis. And basically, what this graph is showing us, for those of you who haven't seen this before, is how different players are positioned on a range of KPIs. And importantly, if we compare PPC spend to visits change, if I were Monzo, I would be very interested to see that in the last 6 months, Revolut has been spending nearly 3 times the amount that Monzo spent on PPC, and they're growing fast. So definitely, Revolut is not waiting around for this mobilization period to wrap up before they go really aggressively after growth in the UK. So coming again from the perspective of Monzo, I would really want to know, where is Revolut focusing and what is working for them? I definitely don't want to be caught off guard. This is exactly where our ad intelligence section comes in. And at the top, I'm going to jump into our all channels view. So in the all channels view, what we're able to see here is how is Revolut distributing its spend across channels and how is that performing for them? So for the moment, we are covering display and search, but soon we will also be releasing insights for social. So you'll have this complete picture of all online paid activity. And straight away, what I'm seeing with Revolut here is that they are very much focused in terms of spend towards search, although there has been a pretty significant increase in the display spend recently. What I also see is that they're getting a really high volume of display impressions from a pretty limited amount of spend. So now what I'm starting to understand is that they are extremely efficient at buying reach. So as we go further into this section on advertiser activity, what I would really want to know is, where are they putting those ads in order to garner all these impressions? So we can see that impressions do outweigh the number of visits that they're getting, which might be a sign that like Revolut is really more focused on impressions as their main goal. That said, when we look at the ratio again of display visits to the amount of spend that they're putting onto this channel, we can see that it's still quite impressive. So as a second area of research, I would want to understand more about what they're saying to attract those visits and how. So we're going to get answers to that from coming into the overview section here. And in the overview section, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to add Monzo into the mix. And this is where I can start to benchmark and really contrast and compare the strategy between these two players to understand what it is that Revolut is doing that Monzo needs to pay closer attention to. All right, so straight away, I can see Monzo has definitely got the scale here in terms of spend. You can see very, very significant spend in relation to what Revolut is doing. But what we see here when we compare the ratio or the share of impressions that Revolut is receiving off the back of the spend is that they're actually over-indexing in this space. So again, this is kind of adding to our hypothesis that we were already starting to build that Revolut is really focusing on buying reach and it's working out for them even more so than it is for Monzo. And scrolling down, we do see more evidence that both these brands do appear to be going after scale, but with slightly different approaches. So I'm seeing that Revolut, they are going after a wider range of publishers. Monzo, it's not like they're only focusing on a few publishers, but they do seem to be experimenting more with ad formats. So they might be doing things like personalization, or maybe they're placing multiple ads on the same page, which is contributing to this much higher number. And when we scroll down to the following part of the platform, we can get even more insights into exactly how they're doing that. So what stands out to me here is that in terms of ad positioning, Revolut is really going after these above the fold, like really high impact placements. So that's really where they're putting most of their focus. If you compare that with Monzo, we see that they're being a bit more distributed across the page. Also, there's a strong contrast here in types of formats that the two advertisers are using. So we see that Revolut, much more focused towards video, spending nearly 50% on this particular format and getting a lot of impressions from that as well. Final note here, it's quite interesting to see that Monzo is nearly 100% focused on mobile, which might be a good strategy if they were focused only on visits. With Revolut, we see that they are spending $1 and $3, it seems, on desktop. And if they were only going after visits, you might say, not sure if that's the right strategy. But from an impression perspective, this seems to be working out really well for them. The share of impressions to spend from desktop, it does seem to be very efficient. So all of this is telling us that Revolut, they are being very deliberate about targeting high impact, high value placements, really looking to drive awareness and perhaps a premium perception. And the question is though, what are they actually trying to drive awareness of? Like, what are they actually trying to get people to know about them? And that's where we come further down the page to look at the campaign and creative insights, which is telling us a little bit more about what actually are the messages that they're putting out there in the market. And straight away, what really stands out for Revolut is that there's not really much focused on anything to do with products. The first thing that I'm seeing are these brand partnerships. So we're seeing there's a focus on BMW Berlin Marathon. We're seeing a partnership here with the NBA. If we want, when we open this up, you're actually seeing the ad placement there, and we can click here to actually see what this looks like in situ. So if we come here, we can see that this is from the NBA site, and this is a screenshot there of what that placement actually looks like. Now, if we compare that to what Monzo is up to, we see a completely different focus. They are all about their product claims. So I think this is a really interesting contrast because Revolut, we know that they're a bit limited in terms of the services that they can offer. So it seems that they're maybe trying to sidestep that issue altogether and really draw on their international scale to position themselves as being bigger than banking. So they're trying to create trust through associations and maybe even position themselves as almost like an aspirational brand in what might be sometimes a bit of a bland industry. No offense to anybody who is working in banking or finance here. The final piece of the puzzle in understanding Revolut's display strategy is to actually go into the publishers section and understand, well, where are they actually promoting themselves? And this is exactly what we see here. So first thing that stands out for me is that YouTube is the top publisher, but this is where Revolut is really cleaning up. We see that they are holding over 78% of the spend. And even more importantly, if we look at impressions, They are getting over 82% of all the impressions. They're also ahead on really high visibility surfaces like Outlook. And I think it's really interesting here to just note something which might not be immediately obvious from looking at this link here. SafeClick is a native advertising ecosystem. And what it's allowing publishers to do, for those of you who aren't initiated with that, is really run contextual ads rather than standard banners, which is kind of a clever way to get around ad blockers and drive awareness through these sort of editorial style placements. So, with all of this together, we now have a really good understanding of how Revolut is trying to win. They are targeting premium, high attention, high impact, and probably high value placements and trying to act almost like a lifestyle brand. Of course, as we did see at the very beginning, display is really only a supplement at this point in time to where most of their spend is going. So we do want to go a little bit deeper and have a look at what they're doing in the paid search space, because as we've established, this is still a really, really important channel for them. And coming into the landing page section, this is where we can see where Revolut is actually directing visitors from all the paid search ads that they're running. And once this loads, we'll be able to see, okay, what are the URLs, how many clicks they're getting, and what keywords they're using to bring people to those particular URLs. So here we're seeing when it comes to product focus, Revolut is definitely going after the business end of the market. And what would scare me if I was coming from the point of view of Monzo is that they are getting a lot of traffic from Monzo's own keywords. So actually, if I even click on, shall we go for Monzo? This is actually going to show me the breakdown of clicks that have been generated from this particular term between Monzo and Revolut in the last 6 months. And when I look at how those clicks are evolving over time, the picture gets even scarier because from looking at this blue line here, I can actually see that Revolut has started to receive even more paid clicks from this term, the number one brand term for Monzo, than Monzo themselves in the recent time period. So that is a massive threat, and it really does require attention. And that is where our monitor and protect tool can help. So here I'm going to hand over to Mate, who is going to take you through that.
Thank you, Delaney. So now that we have seen that there seems to be a problem for Monzo, let's look at what they can do about it and what tools they can use to remedy the situation. So here's our monitor and protect tool. You will find it in our ad intelligence module. It's a fairly new addition. It was released only around 2 weeks ago. And the main purpose of this tool is to uncover competitor bidding in paid search. You can use it for monitoring branded terms, but also non-branded terms. The primary use case that we think this is very suitable for is understanding who is bidding on my brand, how much, who is increasing their activity, decreasing their activity, and then getting recommendations for what can I do about that. So the pieces that Delaney has shown were very useful to see that there is some sort of problem. It was a good indication that I need to pay attention. So now if I'm Monzo, I would come here and I would start monitoring my own domain to understand who else is bidding on my domain. So I'll start with entering my domain, which is monzo.com. Click Get Started. Select UK as the market that I want to focus on for this example. And now in this step, I will get a pre-filled recommendation of branded keywords for which we know that Monzo is receiving paid traffic on Google. So you can consider this a representation of your branded paid search. You can edit these keywords, add more keywords, remove any of these, even add non-branded keywords if you want. And a quick tip here is if you're not sure which keywords to put in, I think you can go back to the section that Delaney was showing, which is the keywords part of Ad Intelligence, where you can identify what are the paid keywords that are driving traffic to my domain, which is monzo.com. So in this case, this is the list ordered by volume, and you can play with the filters. For example, I only want to see branded keywords to protect my brand. And I only want to see on the high traffic opportunities. So only keywords that have a certain volume. Now, once you're happy with your list, you can select all of these, create a new keyword list, call it, let's say, Monzo branded, and it's already created. And now that I create this keyword list, I can come back here and I can already see this list in here and select it from here. So this is how you can connect the two different sections and always share the data within your account. Let's say I'm happy with this list. This should be all the branded terms for which I'm getting paid traffic. So let's start my campaign. Now, the moment I start my campaign, I already get first immediate results. So what we can see here, over the last 28 days, there have been a total of 27,000 paid clicks for the branded keywords that I've put in. Those clicks are going to Monzo, to Revolut, to all the competitors that are bidding on these keywords. Now, what is a bit disturbing in this specific case, I think, is that you see that Monzo only owns 29% of all of these keywords. I think usually this number, when we look at it, is usually higher, usually between 60 to 80%. So I think in this case, it's really worth paying attention to and start taking some action. Out of these 27,000, you can see 19,000 were stolen by the competitors, and that the share of clicks for Monzo is only the 29%. Now, where it gets interesting is this second part, where you can really understand how competitors are behaving. So immediately, what you can see is that the proportions are fairly equal, which when speaking about branded terms, I would say it would be better if Monzo was owning a much larger part of the pie, but this is the situation. Some other insights that you can pull from here is, for example, you see the yellow part of the graph, which represents thinkmoney.co.uk. This domain has not been bidding on Monzo a month ago, but they started bidding pretty aggressively 2 to 3 weeks ago and trying to conquest some of the branded terms for Monzo, as opposed to, for example, Capital One, who used to be bidding more, and now it seems they have decreased their activity compared to the competitive landscape. There's different views. You can look at the weekly, daily proportions. What I think is really cool about this feature is that you don't need to come back and look at this graph every day to understand whether something has happened. What you can fairly easily do is click subscribe to alerts. And immediately, if we detect that one of the competitors has increased their activity significantly, or if we detect that your own click share has dropped, or if there's new competitors arising, you will receive an email immediately on that day as it has happened. Now, to give you an example, I have some email here from the past, a notification I received. This was for Revolut. I can see that on February 1st, I received an email that my click share has dropped significantly, and I can go to the specific campaign and investigate what exactly has happened, which competitors is responsible for this drop. So this is really to give you the peace of mind that you don't need to come back every day, but you can rely on being notified as well. Then you can see a more structured view of the competitors, who is growing, who's declining, and then already very tactical links to the specific keywords these competitors are bidding on and the specific ads that we have seen from them. Now I'll go to these links link to the specific section, so I'll go right here. On the competitors page, you just see a more detailed view where you see all of the competitors. So in this case, you see that Revolut and Think Money are not the only ones. There's actually 62 competitors in total that are bidding on Monzo's branded keywords. And if you want to understand which keywords exactly they are bidding on and stealing the most traffic from, the keywords page is my favorite one for that. Now, in this page, what I think is some of the most interesting data points is for each of these branded terms, you understand what is your own click share that you are receiving from paid clicks on Google. So all of this is just for paid clicks. Now, what Delaney was showing us was that the core term Monzo is recently owned mostly by Revolut. So you can see that over the last 28 days, the click share of Monzo has dropped significantly, and it's only 7.6% now based on our data. Whereas for some other brand plus terms, maybe related to specific campaigns, such as Monzo 1P challenge, or I think there was a Monzo child account, you see they own 100%. So it's not like Monzo is not taking care of their branded terms. They definitely do. But probably not of all of them all the time. So Monitor and Protect is the great tool to proactively track with the high focus the keywords that really matter and to understand where your share starts getting low. If I was a PPC manager for Monzo, I would probably go check my branded campaigns, see if there's not any glitch, see which keywords I can increase my bidding on, and hence try to prevent more theft of these clicks. I think especially in terms of branded terms, we can talk about the objective to maximize the click share as close to 100% as possible where it's worth, as these are the terms that usually bring the best conversions. And for the brand itself, the CPC should be lower than for the competitors. So this should be a no-brainer category of keywords to invest into, as opposed to some non-branded terms, which you can track here as well. However, there I think you would need to look for the correct balance of the cost versus the value you're getting. So not to overinvest into keywords that are getting already too expensive, and so on. Potentially, if you're a large brand that really wants to own a specific keyword, then you might want to go to 100% as well. So to sum it up, two key use cases here for the keywords: identify which keywords are producing very low click share for you. But also, on the other hand, if you see that you're receiving 100% of clicks for a certain keyword, it might be a good indication that you're potentially overpaying for this keyword. So the next step here would be to review your organic position for these keywords. And if you're the only bidder on this keyword and your organic position is number one, it also might be a good idea to pause bidding on this keyword so that you can save some money and reallocate the budget elsewhere. What we are really working towards with this tool, I would say this is the basis that helps you identify the scope and monitor the scope. Now, what is on our roadmap is to help you take action. So over time, our goal is to help you automate bidding on the keywords that matter to you. So when we detect that your click share of paid clicks is getting very low, we would increase the bidding on your keywords, as opposed to when we see that you are the only bidder and your organic presence is very low, we would stop the bidding on that keyword until a competitor appears again. And this way you can save, I would say, 20 to 40% of your branded budget by an estimate. So our aim is really work towards this tooling and helping you out to really have smart savings and help you optimize the campaigns. Last but not least, let's quickly review the ads page. So here we can see the specific ads that we have detected for all the players launching ads towards these keywords. Let's say I'm only interested in the ads of the competitors because I know my own ads, so I would exclude myself from this list. And then I can review what type of ads competitors are launching towards my branded keywords. So if you look at the keywords here, all of these are probably branded keywords that we have set up in the campaign, and you can see how many clicks they've produced. Now, a very interesting use case here is if you want to understand whether someone is not violating Google policy by mentioning your trademark name inside their ads. So let's see if that happens. So now I'm looking at competitors of Monzo, and using the ad content filter, I will only include ads that in their title or description contain my core and trademarked branded term, which is Monzo. So let's add that. And you can see that just over the last 28 days, only for these keywords, we have identified 9 ads that have been violating the terms of Google. So again, being Monzo, I would now take all of these ads and fill out the form for Google Trademarks complaint and make Google remove these ads from the SERP. Now, this is a way how you can ongoingly decrease the unfair competition from paid advertising in search, and hence decrease your CPC and spend on these keywords, because if there's less competitors with bidding on high converting keywords, then also your efficiency should be higher. Now, as we're looking to automate this use case, I'll just show you a sneak peek of something that isn't live yet, but we're building a trademark protection module where if I create my trademark of Monzo, I can immediately at the first hand see all the infringements of trademark that we have detected. So these are both the ads that were launched towards my branded keywords and also the ads that are mentioning my brand in the ad copy. So this is really a very, no, I'm not sure why, yeah, so why this doesn't work right now, but but here what you would find immediately the trademark violations. And we're also building a workflow to submit it automatically to Google for you. So no more worries about having to do this manually. In the future, all of this will be automated. And I think that concludes my demo on Monitor and Protect. I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat if there's anything from anyone, and I'll hand it over back to you, Liat.
Actually, it's me, Mate,
Delaney,
jumping in.
sure.
Cool. So just some kind of general takeaways to sum up here that I think really apply for anybody who is looking to optimize across paid channels. First thing first is to not get too hung up on how much competitor is spending. If you remember the all channels overview that I showed you right at the beginning, we saw that Revolut was getting millions of impressions off a very small amount of display spend. So if we were only looking at how much they're spending, we would have missed that. So really, I think kind of a big thing when it comes to thinking about how do we get an insight into what competitors are up to and what's working for them, it's really not just this question of who is spending more. You really want to think about how is that spend translating into results that's important to monitor. Secondly, your channel and your device mix should really be a reflection of your goals. So if you remember when we were looking at the device breakdown, it does look like mobile, for these competitors at least, is a more effective channel for driving visits. But we did see that Revolut is actually deliberately putting a third of its display spend on desktop. So if their main goal was conversion, that might not make much sense, but it fits perfectly with this goal that they have of driving wide-scale brand awareness. So this is why it's really important when you are trying to figure out what's working for the competition to look at all the available signals to understand why they're doing what they do before determining whether or not that strategy is successful. Further to that, your format choices that you can see are going to tell you what game your competitors are playing. So we see that Revolut, they are really over-indexing on these very high impact placements, top of the page, video that barely even mention the product, whereas Monzo is very much feature orientated. And I would dare say that that is definitely not an accident. This is very much a reflection of Revolut's strategy. So Monzo, regardless of whether or not they're going to maybe like zigzag and change anything in their own marketing, they should be very attuned to the fact that Revolut is coming at this game with kind of the backing of all these partnerships and trying to position themselves as a lifestyle brand. So a conversation I would be having at Monzo is it enough that we have these cool pink cards? Do we also need to do other things to make sure that we're kind of positioning ourselves as something that's aspirational to be a part of as well? And finally, as we saw, it is wonderful if people are searching for your brand. And I do know from speaking with my own clients that a very popular way of assessing brand strength and brand impact is to look at branded search volumes. But if you're not actually winning traffic from those branded search volumes because competitors are coming in and running ads targeting those terms, that means for all the money that you're spending on branding, you're actually kind of just paying to promote your competitors. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be bidding on your own brand's branded terms 24/7. That can be a big waste of money if you've only got select budgets. But you should 100% have a system in place to alert you the moment that a competitor starts trying to cut in so that you can act defensively and pivot if you need be. And that's exactly what Monitor and Protect is all about. So on that note, we've come to the end of our session. which leaves us a little bit of time for some questions and answers if there were any. Liat, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, so thank you, Delaney. Thank you, Mate. That was a great demo. Now we're really inviting you to ask questions in the chat. We know that you've already asked some, and I'll pick a few just to share with everybody. Harel, our solution manager, is also here answering in the chat, and he'll probably jump in now in the Q&A as well. So I think a first great question that Carlo asked us in the chat is PPC spend. Sorry, where was that? How can we track the spend of brands? And I think that's a great question. We don't track a specific brand. The brand has to have a domain. So let's say if you're Unilever and you have a domain for Unilever, we would track that. But if you're also Hellmann's under Unilever and you have a domain, so we can track that. So it really depends on the company size, and how they build their different brands. Harel, do you want to pick a question as well, one that you answered in the chat? You need to unmute yourself.
That's a good idea. Thank you. So let's tackle the one around search versus paid differences. So sorry, search versus paid versus organic differences. So as you have access to Web Intelligence, when you go into Web Intelligence, you have the website analysis section in our product, and you have a whole page there dedicated to search that shows you the split in activity between paid search and organic search. So you can see that there. And if you may have also access to our SEO intelligence, you can also see the split and slightly more information in our SEO intelligence module as well. But Ad Intelligence is really focused about the search bit. There was also an interesting question on how can you leverage the paid search data and paid search keywords data towards actually SEO, which is an interesting thought. It took me a few minutes also to think about the right answer here, but it's really interesting. You can actually see which keywords your competitors or companies that you're trying to follow and understand how they're doing their marketing are bidding on. And you can focus on those keywords as keywords that you want to optimize when you're writing your SEO content for. So that's a good question that we had here as well. Let's see if there's any more questions coming in.
Another good one. What is the difference between using the automatic keyword list and creating your own keyword list? Mate, do you want to take this one?
Yep. So what we do is we pre-fill the keyword list based on the highest volume branded keywords for which you're getting paid traffic. Now that's representing the current snapshot for the past month that we have detected. You might have your own campaigns with your own branded terms, which you know you are bidding on and are important for you. So I would just encourage you to use your own list if you know which terms are really important to you. So really our automated keyword list is more a streamlined way to get you set up quickly if you're not sure what terms your brand represents. If you have your own list, I would suggest you use your own list, and then also look into our keyword research section to expand on that later on.
Thank you. Let's see, a lot of questions coming in the chat here.
I think there was one really good one which I haven't mentioned an answer to, which is what is the difference between the keyword analysis tab and monitor and protect? So one thing which I haven't mentioned is that monitor and protect, once you create the campaign, we start collecting more data specifically for your keywords and specifically for your brand. So already on the first day of your campaign, the data will be richer than what you have in the keyword analysis tab, because we start focusing daily and even over time with even higher frequency on these specific keywords to really capture the dynamic situation of the SERP. So when you start a campaign, the data is more granular and you get definitely many more captures of the advertising activity.
There's a great one here. Is it possible to see how much a competitor has paid per campaign instead of only seeing total ad spend? Harel, do you want to take this one?
For a specific campaign, we don't yet have the exact breakdown. This is on our roadmap for the year to actually break down the ad spend to a campaign level. So that's going to happen. And how much a competitor paid, we don't have the number again for the specific campaign. But this is coming.
Mate, can we set up an alert for when a domain starts bidding on our own branded keyword? Sorry if that was already answered. Great session, by the way. So that's a good one already.
So a short answer, yes. You cannot focus on a specific domain. Once you set up the campaign, we'll notify you anytime when there's a new domain that started bidding, which hasn't been bidding before, or when someone who has already been bidding increases their share. So basically, the alerts are meant to detect significant changes. So if there's a new entrant, definitely you'll be notified. Also, if someone increases their activity. Yes.
Perfect. Maybe we can pick one last one. Okay, I think this is an important one, of course. Not to get too technical here, but can we give a brief overview of the methodology that we use to track display ads specifically? And she also agrees that this is a great session and looking forward to the recording. So, Aurel, maybe you can say a few words about the methodology right now.
So the truth is that it's a lot of things together combined, but it's important to understand that the most important thing is that it's all built on top of the foundations of Similarweb for over a decade of tracking traffic on the internet. So we see the traffic for a long time now. And what we've done is to enhance how we classify and how we basically identify what we call display, what is paid search, really refine the classification of the visits. And then what we do is take the visits, which we can very easily compare these to clicks, if you wish, and tie these clicks now to the source of where they came from, identifying that this was display ads activity, be it banners, be it videos, or any other type of display, and then modeling the overall amount of investment. How do we model the overall amount of investment? We have partners, vendors, data vendors, users with their panel, many other solutions in place to quantify the CTR, click-through rate, and media spend cost, CPMs and CPCs for the various display channels at any given point in time. And this is being tracked and basically modeled on everyday basis to refine the costs of media and the level of engagement of audiences worldwide. We have really multiple different data sources. This is a project we're working on for more than a year now, and really being brought to you now as it is really mature enough. We'll continue always to improve our estimations and improve our industry metrics. We are always enhancing with more data sources. Another important point to know is that there are so many types of information and data points that are available out there. I won't go to the specifics, but when you surf the web, a lot of the dynamics and information on how ads are being traded is publicly available. We're collecting this information, enhancing our data, and bringing you these insights. We're bringing not just the metrics, we're bringing you ads, and ads which are not just awareness level ads. Many of the ads that you will see in our platform are personalized ads, ads that were tailored to certain segments based on behaviors. So all of that is in here. And yes, we use the core data that we have combined with industry and data vendors metrics, and all together we are modeling that to the metrics that you see here together with the campaigns and the ads.